Hey everyone, welcome to Watch It Play Table Talk Back. My name is Rodney Smith and this is
Pet McDonald, and in this episode, we'll be looking at your responses to the topic game tournaments, what to expect, and maybe some advice for attending them.
Okay, let's dive right in. Trevor Cummins wrote, "The thought of a tournament is too intimidating. I can't help but picture my opponents consulting teams of mathematicians to analyze and break the game. I'm probably better off playing with friends who are just as ill-prepared as I am." You know what? I wanted to include this comment because tournaments aren't necessarily for everyone. There are people who are going to be maybe just feel it's too intimidating or it's going to be taken too seriously. That's probably fair on some level.
Yeah, and those mathematicians do exist.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Yeah, I've read articles written by a lot of them, and they do math out everything.
Yeah, the tournament I was at, the gentleman who won the tournament, he had spent the day before with a partner who was playing, here's the most common opening hands you're likely to see.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And he would just play against it, and then if it didn't work, he'd go back, he'd try something different until he found kind of like the optimal response to what he was anticipating seeing in the tournament. That's kind of like mathematizing what you're going to do. Not everyone's going to be doing that.
No, there's going to be people who are, but on the other hand, there's never going to be nobody like you at a tournament.
True.
Or anywhere in life. If you go to a club and you think, I don't like going to clubs.
I don't want to be here.
Yeah, you're going to find somebody else who doesn't want to be there
Right.
and who doesn't like going to clubs normally.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, it's the same thing. You go to a tournament, if you feel uncomfortable, don't worry. There's tons of people there who are uncomfortable, maybe aren't super confident in what they're doing, and you're going to run into them, and you're going to meet them, and you're going to fall in love.
Really?
It can happen.
Pep has promised you will find the love of your life.
True
at a
love is
tournament.
waiting for you at a tournament, and you just need to grasp it.
Okay, no guarantees there, folks.
Ryan Bollinger says, "I feel kind of nervous getting into my first tournament scene. I've never played in a tournament before, and I just hope people will welcome newcomers and not just completely wreck them in competition or make fun of them for forgetting a rule."
You know what, Ryan? It's okay to be nervous. That's very normal. I think your first time doing pretty much anything, but even at a tournament, when I was at my first tournament, yeah, I was a little nervous. I wasn't sure how I'd do. I wasn't sure what to expect, what my opponents would be like, and all that made me a little anxious. I think there's one way you can handle it is just to be upfront with your opponent. Just tell them, like, hey, just so you know, this is my first time playing a tournament. I'm going to do my best here, but if you notice me making a mistake or being a little bit nervous, that's all it is. I mean, you can even wear a little sticker that says, "Hi, my name is Rodney. This is my first tournament." You know what I mean? If you don't feel comfortable telling people that to their face.
Yeah, and kind of an opposite approach, too. You could also pretend like you've done it 100 times. Make no note at all that you're nervous.
Sure. Be really confident. Come and slam your deck on the table.
Yeah,
Rip your jacket off.
I know
do
what
this.
I'm doing. I know everything. And the reason you'd want to do this is because you don't want to be treated differently.
Right.
You don't want them to know that you're new. You don't want to give them the opportunity to look
Right.
down on you or anything. And so it's up to you.
And just know in your own heart, like, I'm not the only one. Again, going by the first answer we had.
Yeah.
You're not the only one there who's new. You're not the only one who's nervous. And the more times you do it, the less nervous you'll be in the future. It's kind of cold out here, Pep.
A little bit.
Andrew Smith writes, "I made top 8 of a Pro Tour qualifier.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but my experience was sullied by the person I beat in the final round. He was very angry, commenting on my luck and so on, and while I understand his disappointment, it impacted my ability to enjoy my own success." Yeah, it's kind of a bummer, honestly. You think you played a good game, maybe you thought you had some good strategies there, and the other person's just talking about how lucky you were. Kind of a disappointment, I suppose. Takes the wind out of your sails a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't have too much to say about that, but it is true. From both sides. Whenever you get beaten, you're kind of a little sour, so it makes sense.
You're probably looking for a reason not to blame your own strategies even a little bit. Feels a little better to think maybe luck beat you. But you know what? Marty Cannell from Rolling Dice and Taking Names, he has a couple comments on that and a few other things. Let's take a look.
Hey Rodney and Pat, my frozen friends from the Great White North. This is Marty from Rolling Dice and Taking Names. You guys have given a lot of great tips on tournaments, and I thought I'd share a few of my own. I've been playing in tournaments for about 15 years, going back a long time ago to the Lord of the Rings CCG, Warcraft TCG, to more modern games such as Netrunner, Warhammer 40k Conquest, Ashes, and War Machine. One of the first tips I would like to give is do your homework. Here's the thing. In tournament play, there's probably going to be some sort of strategy or meta which is very dominant. Especially in your local area, you might find a group of people that like to play a particular type of strategy over and over. So build your list or deck to make sure that you can counter that sort of strategy. Another tip, and this may sound trivial, but don't touch the other person's stuff. If there's a card that maybe you don't understand or haven't seen before, instead of just picking it up and look at it, ask the other player, do you mind if I see that? More than likely, they're going to pick it up and hand it to you. This is also important in miniatures games because you could change the position of where it is on the table. And in miniatures games where fractions of an inch can make the difference in a game, you don't want to go messing up the game like that. Ooh, coconutty. Once the game is over, don't start verbalizing how you screwed up. How, oh, if I had done this, or if I had done that, or if this just would have happened, I would have won. Because what that does is that takes away the win from the other person. They may think that, well, you think that I won because you messed up, and instead of playing a good game against you. Now look, once you're away from the table, you may go back and look on that and realize, oh man, if I had just done this, that could have turned the game. But don't verbalize that out to the person that just beat you. Instead, take that information, internalize it, and do better the next time. Cannonball! Oh, and one more thing. Once the tournament is over, you're going to be totally brain dead. Because after playing 3, 4, 5 hours, you're just going to be totally wiped. I've played a lot of heavy Euros in the past that take 4 and 5 hours, and at the end you think, whew, that was tiring. Nothing compares to going through a competitive event where you're playing against some of the top players and you're just playing game after game. And again, each of those are timed events to where you're also racing against the clock. So you haven't got a lot of time just to sit there with your head in your hands just thinking, what am I going to do, because the clock is racing against you. Shoot, some of the games like War Machine actually have a chess clock where each round, each player is given a certain amount of time. If you run out of time, game over. With that, I have got to get inside because I think I'm about to get heat stroke out here.
Yeah, I don't know, Pep. Maybe we should move to North Carolina. It looked pretty warm.
Got a quarter?
No. Why?
It's a song.
Okay. Well, moving on. Andrew Smith also had something else to say here. He said, always feel comfortable asking questions to judges or tournament organizers. They generally love answering questions. I think Andrew used to be a judge, so he's speaking from firsthand experience. That's true. When people know stuff, they don't mind being asked questions because it's a chance for them to kind of show what they know.
Yeah, so, it's like, oh, of course I know what that means. Definitely.
So, yeah, feel comfortable to asking questions if you're unsure of something.
And a lot of times their job is basically to stand there and wait.
For someone to come ask a question?
Yeah. So imagine if no one asked a question the whole tournament. They just kind of...
Yes. Yeah, ask a question. Please ask them a question. Even if you don't have a question, make one up for their sake. All right, the Night Shadow had loads of good tips. And I didn't include all of them here, but you go into the comments of the previous video and you'll see them if you'd like to check them out. But here's a couple of them. He says, get into good eating and sleeping habits before a tournament. I definitely would agree on the sleeping thing. Because if you're feeling a little dopey, it's going to affect your performance.
Oh, definitely.
You know. Also, if you've done your practice and you're well rested, your first instinct should serve you well. In other words, don't get hung up, hemming and hawing about should I play this or play that. If you have it feeling this is what you should do, he's saying go for it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples of people saying that I should have went with what I thought in the first place.
Right.
I should have went with my gut feeling. So I mean, the thing is, if you go with your gut feeling, it's better to regret later having gone with your gut feeling than to later regret, oh, I should have done that thing I thought about originally. Right. Because then you just second guess yourself.
That's true.
Instead of just, yeah.
Yeah, trust your instincts. Good tip. Don't dwell on any result the day of the tournament. Wait a day or two before you do so, since you have a clearer and fresher mind. I guess fresh after a loss or whenever you are going to maybe not be thinking as clearly about the whole experience. Yeah. Again, sort of like we talked about before, you might come up and go, oh, that person was just lucky or that person was just that. Give yourself a little bit of space maybe to think about it.
Yeah, think about your losses, think about even your wins. I mean, a lot of people, I see this problem with a lot of people with any game is they'll win via a particular strategy and then they will think that strategy is good.
Right, or overpowered or even whatever.
Or something, and it's like, back off a little bit, wait a little bit, watch some other games maybe, and kind of think about it. Was that good because of the situation you were in only, or was it good overall?
Right, good point.
It's important to think about.
Yeah. One last tip he has here is, when you're done the tournament, relax. It's like give yourself some breathing room. The winner of the Ashes tournament that I was at, Eric, after he was done, someone was really keen to play against him. Like they wanted to play against his deck, and honestly, he was wiped, and he didn't want to. And I think that's something to keep in mind too. Like if you've done a full day's tournament, the other people are probably kind of exhausted. If you've been sitting out because you didn't win, the other people are they need a little space. Probably.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea to even plan ahead of time doing something. Like, let's say you went to a tournament with friends. Be like, regardless of what happens in the tournament, let's go celebrate afterwards, you know? Let's
Get a bite to eat, or
yeah, go to a nice restaurant, get a bite to eat, maybe go to a casino.
Go to a casino. What? You weren't lucky at that table. Maybe you'd be lucky at
Maybe.
the casino table. Maybe. Good
Gambling's great, kids.
tip. Good tip, Pep.
Durwood Bowen says, you must know the game rules and expect to go by them. In a serious tournament, protect yourself and require that your opponent follow the rules. Do it nicely, but firmly. You might also find it useful to bring a pen, pencil, and paper.
Yeah, there's a couple things here. First of all, this idea of protecting yourself by knowing the rules is interesting because if you don't know the rules well, your opponent can take advantage of that. Not even necessarily intentionally. But as long as both people are playing by the rules, then you have a level playing field, presumably. The other thing about the pencil and paper, I just thought was kind of interesting because I saw you in a tournament once, and you were marking your life totals in Magic on paper and pen. I thought, Pep, when we play casually, we just use dice to mark it. Why are you writing it down?
Yeah, and there's the very important dice can be knocked over.
Right.
But the other part is that it does track it so that if you needed to call a judge for some reason, they can look back at the life totals and kind of understand what's going on.
See the whole process,
It's
yeah.
easier to track it backwards. The other thing that you can think about is that it's great for after the game.
Oh, yeah?
If you have all the life totals written down and you kept all that paper, you now have an active memory of all the things that happened.
Right, that happened during the tournament.
Yeah, like the one time I wrote an article after getting top 8 in the regionals. And so I kind of had difficulty remembering exactly what happened. I looked back at my life totals that I'd written down, and it gave me
Jogged your memory.
a little bit of clarity.
Okay. Jason Miller writes, at a Magic tournament, an opponent riffle shuffled my deck instead of cutting it. Oh, I had valuable cards in there. It was infuriating. Just wanted to mention this. Don't riffle shuffle your opponent's deck. Sometimes the rules will allow you to shuffle your opponent's deck, right?
Yeah.
In some tournaments.
But it doesn't mean you should be riffle shuffling. If you ever see your opponent separate your deck into 2 piles as if he's going to do it,
Jump in there.
Hey, can you not riffle shuffle?
Yeah, overhand, drop shuffle maybe is fine. I mean, typically, people just cut the deck. I find in a lot of cases. They don't even bother to shuffle.
I like to give it 2 or 3 cuts.
Yeah.
Like split it into a couple
Sure.
piles and then reposition.
Because sometimes, like you said, it's collectible card games in a lot of cases, and maybe you have a rare card in there and you just don't want it bent up, you know? Ugh.
Kashikunakai says, take your losses with honor and recognize that losing is an opportunity to better yourself for next time. Also, take your victories with humility and don't gloat, because in order to have a winner, you need to have a loser as well. Compete, but not at the cost of your compassion.
I like that. Winners need losers.
Winners need losers.
Right.
It's true.
And we're all going to be on the losing side of the table at some point in time. So it's just that basic, again, simple advice. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. In fact, talking about not having compassion, this next video from Sweethearts or Rivals shares a little story of that.
So we've had some very interesting and some very good experiences in tournaments.
The one that comes to my mind is a couple of years ago when we dabbled a little bit back into Magic.
Yeah.
And we went to the tournament. I was the only girl there. It was a little awkward, but not really. They kind of took me under their wing because I think they realized my deck wasn't going to beat any of their decks. Of course, they didn't do that to you. They were very competitive with you.
But they were still very nice.
Oh, yes, very nice.
That being said, I don't like tournaments at all. And the reason for that is I don't like how the tournament takes the focus of the game and takes it from a sitting around enjoying the puzzle of the game with friends and interacting and turns it to like very focused on winning. And that's what I'm not really a big fan of. Some examples of that is I was in a Munchkin tournament once, and one guy had this really good play so that he could finally get to the top of the pack, and I backstabbed him with a single point, ruined his whole plan, and he threatened to slash my tires.
Oh, my.
And I was concerned I was going to have to call campus security for that. And then to make matters worse, I was in another Munchkin tournament one year where the prize, if you get to the last round, was to actually play against Steve Jackson himself. And the random drawing of who my opponents were around the table was me and about 6 13-year-olds. And they took one look at me, looked at each other, and then just thrashed me because I was the adult.
Oh, my.
So at that point, the focus wasn't even winning, it was just killing the adult.
It's not fun.
That was not fun at all.
No.
And so I don't enjoy that. I enjoy...
Casual play.
Yeah.
Playing for fun.
There we go.
Lillian Mizutani writes, my own philosophy about tournaments, I do not go into the tournament to win, but always to get more experience in a particular game or to learn new decks.
She wants to level up.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice, it kind of takes you off the hook a little bit. If you go into it thinking this is more of a learning experience than just trying to win, then if you don't win, you're always kind of achieving your goal on some level, right?
Justin Price says, I encourage all gamers to consider others regarding maintaining good hygiene prior to and during these events.
Right.
Let's fight some of these common stereotypes regarding smelly conditions, poor general appearance, and butt cracks showing. You'll be spending long days with people in a possibly closed space or cramped quarters. We need to encourage any interested people to join in on the hobby and not scare people away.
That certainly is a way to scare them away. Bad odors and general discleanliness. You know what? During the tournament I was at, I actually realized, shoot, I might get a little sweaty here at the tournament. I went and bought during one of the breaks a stick of deodorant just so I could freshen up during the tournament. Nothing wrong with that. Grab a little go bag. Have a toothbrush with you maybe. If you're going to be there for the whole day and you're going to be grabbing some kind of onion sandwich or something, brush your teeth in between.
Onion sandwich. I remember seeing a Facebook post
Delicious.
recently, apparently one of the Grand Prix in Magic or something, they handed out deodorant sticks to everyone there.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if it was kind of a joke post, but it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, I've seen signs sometimes at tournaments saying, we expect you to maintain good hygiene during a tournament, or you'll be asked to leave.
And it's the thing, a lot of people don't realize it, and it's never one person. There's
Right.
not one guy in this giant room of 500 people that's making the place smell bad.
Right.
It's
It's a collection of
a
people.
collection, and it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind. Carl Fodge writes, keep an eye on your stuff because it might get stolen.
True story.
Just a simple tip.
Happened to a friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah,
What'd they lose?
everything.
Everything.
Well, yeah, when you get stuff stolen.
They were at the tournament, their house was stolen, the car was stolen, the children were abducted.
Well, the advice here is don't go to tournaments, because if you do, you're not keeping an eye on your stuff. Your stuff is at home.
It's all-
and people are going to rob you. Be aware, okay?
Now, to be serious though, at a tournament, there are sometimes people there who are looking to take advantage of other people.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, again,
These little pieces of cardboard are worth hundreds of dollars sometimes.
true. Yeah. So, if you have a backpack, maybe keep it one strap around your leg or something, or just keep it nearby that you can feel it so it doesn't get taken.
Or strap it to the front of you so you just have like a backpack belly.
All the time.
Yeah, and then you can
That'd be
reach
good
in
for
and get
snacks.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, need a snack.
right. And this is something also to be aware of at the conventions in general, as well as at a convention. And a company there, they had iPhones stolen, camera equipment, tripods, and all this stuff because
Oh, yeah.
they left it out. They trusted in people, and unfortunately, it was taken advantage of. In fact, the belief was it wasn't people who were at the convention who took it. It was just people who were in that general area who were on the lookout. So again, simple little tip, kind of general awareness of where your things are.
Benedict says, how did you do on that Ashes tournament, Rodney?
A few people asked this, so I thought I would answer. I won 2 of the games, and I lost 3 of them.
ET
3 of
phone
them.
home.
It's hard to do this in
It
gloves. So I lost more than I won, but you know what? How I said earlier, like you're never the only person at a tournament who's going through what you're going through. There's other people who also only won 2 and lost 3. We had our own little club of people like that. It was fine.
I think an important question is, why did you lose?
Well, some of the matches, definitely I made some mistakes strategy-wise. Like I just didn't play my cards as effectively as I could. In one case, I just made like a couple of like directly dumb mistakes. Like I spent a die when I had another one I should have used instead. And it was just, I don't know, my brain kind of blanked. It was just kind of silly. It was also my deck. Like my deck was reasonable. Like it wasn't a terrible deck. But I know now there were things I would make even further modifications to it to make it a stronger deck to be able to handle more types of opponents.
Yeah, and that's important. You should come out of it knowing what you'd want to change and what you could do differently. So that's good.
Yeah, I definitely think if I was to play those matches again, I could do better. So yeah, I felt encouraged by the whole experience, to be honest. And it kind of invigorated me to play the game more as well. Well, we had a lot of great responses from people, tips and suggestions, and you can find those in the comments below. And if you'd like to add some more, please do so. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.
Heads Carolina, tails California, somewhere greener, somewhere warmer, up in the mountains.
Ryan Ballinger, 3, 2, 1. Ryan Ballinger, stop it. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that's a receipt. Oh, it's a receipt in the script.
Hey, well, when we get to that part, we'll read it.
Read the receipt. Receipt asks,
Down by the ocean, where it don't matter, long as we're going. I love
These
the gloves.
gloves, the gloves make this really
Here,
hard.
I can do the buttons.
Can you do
I got
I'll
better.
hold it. You push the button.
What the?
Oh yeah, you're real good at that there.
Sure. Trying to like break your deck into two. Just be like, hey.
Oh yeah, they're trying to break the deck in two.
Yeah,
that's even worse.
Yeah, like if you said you want to cut my deck and they get out a saw.
Oh,
It's like, maybe calm down there.
maybe
friend.
just jump in there and say something.
Yeah. Somewhere together, I've got a quarter.
I don't know that song. Is that even a song?
You think I just made all that up?
You're pretty creative.
All right.